For those of you who don't know, I'm Ruth, and I'm currently responsible for the youth of the Unification Church in the UK from 11 to 18. So I have a couple of familiar faces who've been on workshops and also lots of people who've staffed. You'll probably recognise a few slides here and there, apologies, but I have to recycle because it takes a long time to make slides. The topic today is what's stopping us from fulfilling our full potential. I wish I had all the answers, that's all I'm going to say. Because I think if I knew there was a talk like this, I probably would go to it because I'm also seeking the answer to this question, right? But my aim, I guess, in this talk is to just kind of sow a seed to kind of get us all thinking and to kind of open up the discussion. I think this topic's so broad, and of course I'm only 28 years old, so although I feel old, I'm told I'm not so old. So I've still got a lot of life to happen, so I still, I think I have a lot to learn. So from the little time I've spent here on this earth, I will, from the things I've experienced, whatever, I will try and, open up the discussion somehow. So, I guess for me in my life, I really think that it was down to how I saw myself actually as a person. So in order to understand our potential, then who are we and how do we see ourselves? And I think often we see ourselves as less than we are, I think. Do you not think? I think often, we have a couple of people who probably think they're the bee's knees, they're really cool, they're really great, and that's awesome, right? As long as it's not too much, obviously. But often we see ourselves as being less than we are, and we often don't see ourselves as other people see us, I think. So someone else can point out a quality and we won't see it, and it's not just about, oh no, I'm not like that, cool. It's not always like that. Often we're like, no, but I don't see that in myself, that quality you're telling me I have, I don't see that in myself. And so I've been thinking about this a lot, and about identity also because I often give talks to 15-year-olds, and so I think this question comes up a lot just because of I guess the media as well. I think there's much more out there and we're much more connected in that way. And so again, this topic's been coming up a lot, how do we see ourselves and who are we basically? So I also feel that the modern idea and interpretation of success or fulfilling your potential is maybe a little bit warped. I don't know how many of you watch The Apprentice. So the example of a business, right? So me and Danny, my husband, are really into watching. But I think it's sad that often the nicer people are often eliminated sooner because they're not willing to backstab or in the discussion say, hang on a sec, she didn't do it, or he didn't do this right. Do you know what I mean? They don't do that, and they kind of, oh yeah, I did mess up there, because they did mess up. And then them saying that they messed up means that they get eliminated. But those who are more conniving and a bit more sneaky and kind of ready to throw other people under the bus end up winning, actually. And it's not often because their product is that great, it's because they have the gift of the gab and they know how to sell something. And so, I don't know, a couple of these characters were just really awful, I think. But then this guy was super sweet, and he was out the first round because he was well crusty. But anyway, you know what I mean? It's, especially I'd say in business, I think we're kind of made to believe that it's about treading on other people. And I don't know about you, but if that's what business is about, then I don't really want anything to do with it. Do you know what I mean? Or that kind of business anyway. And so I think, when I was thinking about what's stopping us fulfilling our potential, I was thinking that it's about A, not knowing who we are, and B, not knowing where we're going. And I think these questions come up a lot, and we often feel I don't know who I am, I don't know what I want, I don't know what I need. And it's a bit maybe sometimes knowing where we'd like to be, or kind of an idea of something, but not knowing how to get there as well, having no map, basically. And so, again, I don't have all the answers, but I do know that I spent a lot of my life, or have spent a lot of my life, wearing a mask, and spent a lot of my life hating myself and not liking myself because I felt unworthy, or I felt that I didn't matter because that's what I felt the world was telling me, that I didn't matter because I didn't look a certain way, I didn't whatever, didn't have this quality, that quality. So then you live your life feeling inadequate, and you live your life feeling not good enough. And I think now more than ever, it's like the idea of like the self. Like, it's like, I feel like now more than ever, it's really like me. This is who I am, and it's about selling an idea of who you are. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, can you untag me in that picture? I don't like that picture. When you're just laughing or having a good time, or it's about selling a lifestyle. So like, because all like celebrities now have like Instagram accounts, they can now put out what they want to see, what they want you to see. So of course you've got paparazzi who'll snap a picture of them like scarfing down some spaghetti or like with no makeup, but they can also now edit what they're showing you. So I'm at the gym, I'm on a yacht, I'm sipping champagne, you know, it's always about like, this is me and this is what I want you to think is amazing. But oftentimes I feel like people aren't happy, but they want you to see them a certain way, you know? And so often it's fabricated. It's like, I'm having a good time. And really, they've been on their phone the whole night. Do you know what I mean? So, and also like, I feel like we want stuff. Like, I like shoes. I love shoes. And you know, like, I think it's fine to like things. It's fine, right? Because someone creates something, it's amazing to enjoy it. And if you save up money for a new iPhone, then of course enjoy it. That's fine. But I'm someone who like, Danny can vouch for this. I'll like really want a pair of shoes. And like, you know, you get this new pair of shoes and you're walking down the street and you feel like you're the Don. You're like, I own this street. I don't even care. I have the best shoes on, you know. But then it only lasts like how long until you get a scuff and then it's, oh, I need a new pair now. So like, if it starts to govern our life, then that's the issue, you know. And I feel like all too often we're governed by how much we weigh, or like how much money we're earning, or all these are the kind of discussions people have, like how much are you earning, you know, this kind of discussion. And I feel like too much importance is put on those kinds of things, personally speaking. And I was fortunate enough to hear a talk by a friend of mine, and she was talking about like CV culture, and about how of course we're writing CVs to apply for a new position or whatever, university, but how often we over-embellish our qualities. So you're trying to sell yourself. So say you help on a cake sale and suddenly you're a caterer, you know, caterer for 100 people. Do you know what I mean? Maybe 100 people bought a cupcake or something. So we kind of over-embellish who we are because we're selling an idea of who we are to other people. And of course, yeah, we want to place in university, so maybe we can kind of, how do I say, what's the word? Yeah, exaggerate or condone it. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm doing it for a purpose, right? But actually, like, I've been thinking a lot about, because recently there's been like, I've been around people who've passed away. Like, there's been a lot of like death from friends and this kind of thing. And so it's really got me thinking, because I've listened to a lot of eulogies, right? And you know, it got me thinking, like, with eulogies, like, these are the words that your friends and close ones pick to remember you by when you pass away. Do you know what I mean? And so like, an example was like a wife to a husband. Like, my husband was such a wonderful man. I'm not sure I can really express how much I miss him. Not only was he a wonderful husband, but a wonderful father, grandfather, best friend, colleague, and so much more. Another one's from a son to celebrating his mum. She was a vibrant soul, one who literally lit up the room whenever she entered. And right up until she became less able to get around, Mum was full of joy and always eager to help out. One to a father: duty, decency, reliability, honour, dignity, respect. These are all qualities that my father not only held in his esteem, but practiced every day of his life. So, you know, if you look at all these words, like, these are the things people choose to remember people by: a dignified best friend, a vibrant soul. Like, no one says like he had a Lamborghini or she had like a pair of Nike shoes. Do you know what I mean? Like, these are the things that people remember us by, and these are the kinds of words people choose. So surely the words people choose to describe you by after you've passed away are like true, no? Maybe you wouldn't write them about yourself, but surely people who've seen you grow up or witnessed you, experienced you, will know how they want to represent you or what best represents you, right? So, yeah, it's not about, they're not going to write your last Facebook status or like post your profile picture. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just got me thinking a lot about life and like how I want to be remembered, and how, you know, there's this saying, I don't know who said it, but people won't remember what you did or what you said, but how you made them feel. Oh, Mary Angelou, okay. But it's interesting because often when someone does something wrong to you, you don't necessarily remember the exact words they said. Maybe you will, but you'll mostly remember how those words made you feel. Do you know what I mean? You can't necessarily quote them. Maybe sometimes you can, but often it's how they made you feel. So if someone says something nice to you, yeah, like you remember how they made you feel. So it really got me thinking a lot about how I've touched other people and how my relationships with people, basically. And so within the Unification Church, we have this belief that God created the world. Obviously, it's not just within the Unification Church also, but Christianity as well. But I really feel that, like, you know, when you create something, when somebody creates something, so I really like to cook. And so when I cook, part of me goes into the food, right? Not just the sweat, but like, you know. Anyway, you know, your energy and your heart goes into the food. And so, like, I think in a similar way, like, we can really experience God through nature, through what He's created, right? And so He also created us as well, you know what I mean? And so within each of us is a part of God, and I think we fail to see that because A, God's not so popular nowadays, and B, I just feel like there's so much other stuff going on, and so it's easy to get caught up in the surfacey stuff because that's all we're seeing. You know, everything's a surface now, everything, right? You can like tap everything, you know. I once tried to scroll in a book, or like I thought I could undo a moment that happened. Do you know what I mean? Like undo, and I'm like, what's going on, you know? We've become like about surfaces and about things and stuff that we sometimes fail to see what's inside and what's deeper. And I made this point on a workshop recently, a youth workshop I gave, and about like how it's like the internet versus spirituality in a way. It's like, it's almost like contending, because obviously you can't see the internet right now, but it's here, right? And you like kind of zone in and you go into a world that's the internet. Then we often lose sense of spirituality because, you know, you'll say, oh, I want to pray later. And then you'll get caught up on Facebook, and before you know it, you're on BuzzFeed on the 6th video down the line about like trying different kinds of Japanese candy. I don't even know, where you kind of get lost in this vortex of like the internet. And then we fail to be in touch with the real world and with people and relationships and developing that relationship with God. So again, like I feel like, which I think is why when we go out into nature, we feel connected again and you feel grounded, and people want to escape and they want to go to the countryside or they want to experience nature because it's like away from everything that's hard and solid and kind of rough. And of course, nature can be rough too, but you kind of have a sense of being back at home or like being grounded somehow. And I also think it's amazing how nature speaks to everybody in some way. So, you know, you think, oh, I'm not into nature just because I'm not into flowers, but like maybe you like to rock climb, or maybe there's something you love. There's always something somebody loves about nature. And so it's like God's kind of talking to us in a way as well. So it's like in a similar way, we all have a way to talk to God as well. So it's not just kind of one way, but God always has a way to talk to us as well. And it's just about tapping into that and reconnecting to that. And so I was thinking about how to understand like God's heart in a way. And so I was thinking about parents, about when they're expecting a baby, right? And how they create a space for their baby. And so, you know, like they'll have words like dream on the wall or something, or they want to make it, I mean, if you had unlimited resources, right? I don't know if my nursery for my kid would look like that. But, you know, if you had unlimited resources, what kind of nursery would you create for your baby, right? And, you know, like dream, because, you know, of course it's dreaming, but like, you know, dream big, like you want the best for your child. And I think in a similar way, God wants the best for us too. And so, you know, you create a space that has everything they need and you know, to grow, but also to make them happy as well. Like that's not a necessity, is it really? But to make them happy. And I think in the world there are things that we need and things to bring us joy. And it just really got me thinking a lot about tapping into God. And I feel like tapping into God taps into ourselves as well. And I feel like it's so easy to kind of get lost. So I've just really been thinking about that a lot, and how you know, as a parent, you also want your child to be the best. Like you want the best for them. And I think in a similar way, God also wants us the best for us. And to, you know, like I don't know many parents who are jealous if their child is smarter than them. Maybe a handful are. But you know, like if your child, you know, goes into Oxford University or whatever, or is really, that's not just successful, right? But like how successful, then you're happy for them. You're proud. You know, you feel like joyful in your heart. And so I think it's more about fulfilling our true inner potential. So kind of rephrasing it and thinking about a new definition. Sorry, I tend to talk really, really fast, so I'm sorry if I'm like spitting at you and kind of going really quickly. But yeah. I think just for me, like, it's when I forgot about this that I was at my lowest, I think. And it's always difficult to remember these things. It's always difficult to remember that your value doesn't just come from how others see you. Do you know what I mean? I mean that in a negative way, like kind of, or comparing yourself to other people. I think we tend to compare a lot, but that it comes from something more kind of innate and something much more deep. And I think, yeah, I went through quite severe depression in my early 20s. And I think also from experiencing depression from other people, like it becomes a very inward thing and it becomes all about you because you're stuck in you and you can't see anything beyond yourself, basically. So I was very selfish and people needed to contact me and it was about me. And it was really, I felt really stuck because I was stuck in myself. And so the problem was there and all I could see was the problem because I was just centered on myself, right? And so it was only when I really started to think about other people actually and other people having a life and the people around me that it shifted, you know. And when I thought, do you know what, like, what is going on? It's like when you're staring at a stain on a t-shirt, that's all you can see. You can't see the rest of the good stuff. You're just looking at that one stain. Do you know what I mean? And you're just so focused on, oh, that stupid stain, whatever. And so, yeah, like, to really pull myself out of that, it really took me to place myself in other people's shoes. And also, you all know the abbreviation YOLO, right? You only live once. We have one like LFSO, so like living for the sake of others. And I really kind of use this as a mantra. Like not that I always do it, seriously. I often take the last cookie or whatever, but just that this is really a key to opening up a lot of doors actually. Because we often think by doing stuff for other people, we're losing something. But I don't believe that at all, actually. I don't believe that by doing things for other people, you lose out at all. And it's also not about doing things for other people so that you can kind of receive good stuff back. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a gift giver, so often I'll give really nice gifts and I'm like, my birthday's coming around, oh yeah, nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like, somehow that's conditional, right? But if we can really learn to go about each day really thinking about other people, so like, I don't know, like small things like offering a chair to somebody on the tube or something. Like I have a real pet hate for people who don't offer seats to pregnant women and old people. I'm always like kind of glaring, you know. But then I'm also really cautious in case they're not that old, but just kind of look it. And I'm like, do I get up? Maybe up to, you know what I mean? Or maybe just they're not wearing anyway. But yeah, you just, it kind of sounds really cheesy, like flinging flowers into people's faces, you know, like living for the sake of others, woo! And you know what I mean? It has kind of like maybe kind of cheesy connotations, but actually it really changed my life basically. And it sounds so silly, but it really changed my life. And as soon as you start to step out of your bubble of me and you step out and you look at yourself, then you're like, oh my gosh, like, and anyway, I'm grateful I went through that, whatever, because now I feel able to empathize. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, anyway, because also YOLO is like, of course it can have a positive spin maybe, but it also has this connotation of like being a bit reckless and being a bit selfish. I think like you only live once, party, like smash everything. Like, do you know what I mean? It kind of has that kind of connotation. I feel like we are, especially like the younger generation, but especially the ones that I kind of look after. I feel like there's a lot of that, like on Tumblr, like you only live once, so do it for you, or like, oh, I don't know. And it's quite clever because it's a way of saying you do what you want, but don't care about anything else. And I don't necessarily believe in that. Of course, like you have your own goals and ambitions, but is it at the cost of other people? Do you know what I mean? I'm going off on a tangent, I think, quite a lot, but yeah. Again, yeah, just living for the sake of others is just a big mantra for me. And also, yeah, anyway, I don't know what I'm going to say. But my friend gave me a postcard with this on it, and I love it. So be who you were created to be and you will set the world on fire. But I recently found out that the original quote was this, but they changed it for the postcard, more sales. Be who God meant you to be and you will set the world on fire. Don't not literally become an arsonist, but you know, like to be something amazing, right? And so, yeah, just for me, like this quote in particular, I have it still on my wall now. And for me, like it's a big thing for me because I still don't feel like I'm fulfilling my potential. I feel like I'm getting there, maybe, not really, but you know, I'm at a point where I'm kind of questioning my future. What is it I want to do? And it's like a big question mark for me still. But I still, yeah. Like I question, like, set the world on fire, like what does that mean? Does it mean that I want to be like world-renowned something? Woohoo, woohoo, look at me, do you know what I mean? Like getting an award, like, do you know what I mean? Is that what it means? Like what does it mean to me to set the world on fire? Like to fulfill my true potential, like what does that mean? Anyway, again, I'm putting some questions out there. And also another poem that I often repeat a lot on workshops, like youth workshops, is this one. I'm sure you know it, right, this poem. So maybe we can read it out loud. It's a little bit cheesy, but maybe we can read it out loud. So, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So this is from, I mean, it's not just from the film, but it's from, what film is it? The one with Denzel Washington, some kind of like victory film, team loses. Huh? Coach Carter, yeah. Coach. Or remember the Titans? Coach Carter, yeah. But, and I really like this woman, she's like an inspirational speaker, anyway, she's super amazing. But this poem for me as well, like, again, I use it a lot because I really think it encompasses a lot. I think sometimes, maybe not for everybody, and it's a female author, but I do feel like sometimes I have a tendency to not want to, like I'll lose so that other people feel better. Do you ever do that in a board game or something? Like I'd rather not win if the other person's happier, because A, I don't like arguments, and B, I'm bothered, like I'm not that competitive really. But does anyone ever do that, like lose so someone else wins? No, no one. Oh, okay. Yeah, I often do that. But I wonder, like, do you think that's a good thing? Maybe if it's 5 years old, I'll race you, oh, you won. My brother would always beat them, like, Daniel, let them win. You know, like ah, ha, 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 ha. They're 5 years old. But yeah, I don't know, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. And then another quote by Sun Myung Moon. The process of growing to maturity is a building block that opens the way to a new era. It is difficult to find young people today who are passionate about their lives. We find so many young people who, with no goal or purpose for their life, are just wandering around. All great leaders in history had a definite sense of purpose in life from the time they were children. From childhood, they nurtured that purpose, held within their hearts, and exerted great energy to achieve it. Whether they were sleeping or playing with their friends, every youthful action of these great leaders was geared toward preparing for the stage they would stand on in the future. Is that how you were living your life? And of course, not everyone here is going to be a leader, maybe. But yeah, I've really been thinking about like a common thread that runs through all of this. And that is that, yeah, are you going to be honest? You know, like, are you going to be fair? Like, you know, if you're going to be a lawyer, are you going to be just? If you're going to be a teacher, are you going to love your students? If you're going to be a parent, are you going to love your children? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like to do things, because I have a friend who is like a teacher, and she's really focused on like grades, like getting the children to a point in which they have the best grades, but because that's kind of what the department leaders and everyone are saying, like they need to have the certain grades. But then you forget about the person. Do you know what I mean? Like there are children who are going through stuff. That's just a small example. Or you know, if you're going to be a business owner, are you going to be fair, and are you going to take care of your employees? Do you see what I mean? So I've really been thinking about this a lot. And can you retain something? So like, just to have that carry through, because I think often as well, like with success, we can kind of forget certain things as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like when things are really, really rough, then you kind of you think about God, or then you pray. Do you know what I mean? It's like people only become religious when they're desperate. Do you know what I mean? That happens to me. Like, please, on the exam, I'll never procrastinate ever again. Next exam, please, I'll never. You know what I mean? Like the night before. I'm lost. But yeah, I don't know. Again. I don't have all the answers, like how to fulfill your full potential, but I do feel like that God wants us to be passionate, whatever that may be. I do feel that we're supposed to utilize our talents. I don't think that's selfish. I do feel like if we can have that balance between God and everything else, then that's kind of a really good balance. And so I'd like to end with a little activity. So, do you have paper? I think I have paper here. Hopefully there's enough. I'd like you to write the first paragraph of your future eulogy. So that's an example. This is going to happen in like 100 years' time, so don't get too scared. But like, here's an example. My mother, Helen, was a warm, compassionate and vibrant woman who always went out of her way to help others no matter what. She was a proud and dignified woman who had a passion for life. She had a wonderful sense of humour, etc., etc. So I'd like you to write, I don't know, like a paragraph, something in your future eulogy that someone may write about you or say about you. How would you like to be remembered, basically?